So, ladies and gentlemen, today we are going to be covering our axis of Rahu in the 4th house and Ketu in the 10th house. And what happens when they are sitting in these houses in your horoscope. Not by transit, they're sitting in your natal horoscope. Okay? And as always, if you do not know where this axis is in your horoscope, if it's in the 4th house, 10th house, 3rd house, 9th house, for that, check out the links here. Check out my full astrological report, including my books, Astrology, Conjunction, Aspects, and Mahadasha as the Speed of Light, including all my consultations there. And I also have a Rahu-Ketu axis consultation here as well. So, Rahu-Ketu, man, just these two nodes can signify your entire life. I mean, they can signify each and every aspect of your life, actually. Because one thing you have to understand, each and every planet influences each and every house and planet from itself. And I'm trying to figure out, actually, I mean, kind of deviating from the subject, but there was a Sufi astrologer who actually wrote some crazy text about how at this age, if this planet is in this house, it'll affect this house and this place. So I'm looking for a man. He's like a 15th century astrologer. Now, Ketu in the 4th house. Okay. This axis, Rahu in the 4th house, Ketu in the 10th house. This axis deals with your private and public life. That's the very first thing. Private life, public life. Private life, public life. Okay. And the reason why this axis is quite unique because it shows our outer world, inner world. That means it shows our outer personality, inner personality. Because remember, 4th house is where sun is at its darkest, Imam Kuli. It's below the horizon, below rising on the other side of the world. And then 10th house is where sun is bright, it rises, right? It's just like house where you go out and you do things professionally. So this axis of your private and public life is now emphasized in your chart. Okay? And 4th house represents home, land, real estate, mother, happiness, conveniences, vehicles. It also represents the divine knowledge. And it represents a whole lot more things. You know, it can represent illnesses of your elder siblings. It can represent transformation of your father. It can represent wealth of your siblings. You know, it can represent career of your spouse. A lot of things. So now you have this forward-looking energy of Rahu, where Rahu is trying to learn something, trying to go forward towards mastering this particular house. And then Ketu, the tail of the serpent, shows where the expertise are coming from, where the lessons have already been learned. So what happens with these people, and especially these particular people, and especially this particular axis, not the reverse, this particular axis, is like a breathing. It's like going in, out, meaning they have a hard time dealing with either one of them. Meaning, not a hard time, I should say. They have to work. See, that this is the axis where a person, we all have to work, right? We have to make a living. We have to pay our bills. But when we go towards paying our bills, we see that obstruction of Ketu, where that dissatisfaction comes into play in our work environment. We're not too happy about how we work, where we work. We're not too happy about, dealing with all the mundane things of the workplace, work politics. And boy, let me tell you about politics that I've been dealing with certain organization for the past year. Oh my God. I just don't even know where to begin. Anyway, I'm done with them. But Ketu in the 10th house shows that a person who does not want to follow some traditional organized path in their career. They do know that, okay, I'm in this environment of my career. I need to work and I know how to deal with people. However, something inside me says, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here talking to you. I don't want to be here dealing with meetings and TPS reports. Because where they are trying to run to psychologically is where Rahu is, which is your private world, your inner world. So whenever they deal with the chaos of the work, or they cannot deal with the chaos of the work, they retreat back into their privacy, in their private world. And especially for them, coming home, being in home, becomes extremely important. Why? Because of the fact Ketu, which represents going within, hiding within, becoming introverted, they don't really show their true image into the world with this Ketu. They have a hard time expressing their true self outside. There, this natural fear comes into play because both Rahu and Ketu are fear axis. Okay? And so this fear axis of Ketu makes us feel like if we do something wrong here, we will be blamed. If we do something wrong here, we will be forced to be embarrassed in front of people. So what happens is they hide. They don't show themselves too much out in public. Because they're like, if people know who I am truly, I will be insulted, I will be ridiculed, I'll be embarrassed. So they keep their true self within the private world. 4th house is also the storage, where you keep the storage. So that means your true explosive self in this world, which Rahu is, which is like your obsession, your mission in this life. It's all in the private world. In the private world, you could be a complete different person. You're a professional, serious, person in the outer world. And people are looking at you, intimidated by you, or they just don't want to work with you because you're very too hard. But when you're in your private world, my God, if somebody came to your home, you're like, is this your twin? Because this is not you. You can't be joking around like this. You can't be saying stupid jokes like this and doing all these things that you're doing. Because why? Because this is the private world where they're free. Also shows these people within their home love to keep unusual foreign objects. Like they would like to collect maybe a foreign statue that they shipped from France or Italy. They have unusual objects, maybe like, you will go to these people and you will see like in an American house, some American Indian wardrobe or some, dream catchers. Very unusual things that you're like finding out like, wow, that's pretty taboo that you have this in your house. Why? Because Rahu, Ketu, especially Rahu, represents that unusualness, going against the social norms of society. And Ketu is the energy which is very mystical, occultic, spiritual. Rahu is also mystical and spiritual, but Rahu is using its force to attain material things. Ketu is using its force to escape the material things. So you see how this becomes a very confusing axis because this person has to make money. They have to go out and make that material things happen. But the thing is, when they get tired of this, they run back in their private world. And they may do some creative artistic work. They may, collect unusual items within the home. But then what happens is when they're home too much, then they get unnecessary fear within the home. They're feeling, oh my God, if I'm in home too much, how am I going to be able to make money, and how am I going to be able to, get my name out there? So they run back outside again. When they run back outside, what happens is they're dissatisfied immediately with that environment again. And so they're always going back and forth. Now, the best thing for them to do, when you have this Rahu-Ketu 4th and 10th house axis, where Rahu is in the 4th house, Ketu is in the 10th house, you need to pick, and you need to have an image, a career, a profession, which is very unorthodox, unconventional, against the social norms of society. Whether you are a tattoo artist instead of a normal artist, whether you are a tarot reader instead of a psychologist, or even an astrologer instead of a psychologist, whether you are, instead of a banker, you're an Ayurvedic doctor. Things like that. You must have, in order for you to balance these two energy out, your home and your private life must have things outside the norms of society. Otherwise, there's going to be this running back and forth. You give yourself as a natural leader in your workspace, but you're dissatisfied. So you run into your inner world. In the inner world, there's a lot of psychological baggage that builds up. Because Rahu is in your 4th house of home, peace, happiness. There's always just something unusual, chaotic happening within the home. Then you run outside, because then that fear builds up. So the best thing to do for these people is to have a home-based career doing something unusual, abnormal, against the social norms of society. Whenever you have this axis then will feel like a walk in a park. Like, oh, I don't feel that, outside the box. I'm not feeling that heat that this axis is bringing. Shows that your mother is a very unusual personality. Mother has her own way of expressing herself. Mother, like you could be a banker, yet your mother is a tattoo artist. It happens. I'm sure I'm sure this alignment is out there. I just have to come across it. And this also shows that you may also have a very foreign influence within the home. Mother could be of a mixed culture, from a foreign place. Mother could be of a, unusual background, maybe background of musician and artist. And here's your dad coming from a background of engineers and IT professionals. So within the home itself, home becomes like this exotic place where you love to be, where you love to do things from. But always when you spend too much time within the home, then that worry comes into play about your reputation and fame. And this is the axis that the one always goes back and forth on, back and forth on. 4th house represents, your land, your real estate. These are the people who most definitely will go away from their birth city to either foreign lands, like across the sea, or at least 200 to 300 miles away from where they were born. Always, Rahu's impact upon the 4th house will separate them from where especially the birth city. You have to be at least 100 miles plus from your birth city in order for you to find any kind of a resolution within the home. So if you have a very chaotic life within the home, and you're in your birth city, in the same home as your parents you're living, you need to go far away as you can. That's because Rahu is a foreign energy. It wants its dwelling in foreign lands. Remember, 4th house does not belong to you. 4th house now belongs to Rahu. Rahu says, I don't want to be in the same environment. I want something exotic. I want something new. I want something unusual. And these people love to have a huge space in their home. Or naturally, they get a house with a lot of space. Like, let's say the house is like 4,000 square feet, and they're husband and wife, and they have very little furniture. So they walk around in the house with a hollow space. Because Rahu is this hollow space. Like think of a balloon with this little light within the middle. That's really what Rahu is. And what happens is the balloon magnifies the light within, so it looks like a huge flame. But when you really look within, it is this very small light. Rahu shows a very big-hearted person. Somebody who will open up their door for the world to come in their home. But also, there could be malefic. Yeah, we'll always have to see if Rahu and Ketu are receiving any kind of a malefic impact by aspect, conjunction, and what the sign placement is. Sign placement is also going to tell you a whole lot about this. Now, look at this axis as a sign placement too. 4th house is Cancer, okay? 10th house is Capricorn. So here you have Cancer and Capricorn energy also working. So this also works for Rahu in Cancer in the 4th house, Ketu in Capricorn. So you can look at those both energies. But Ketu mainly shows great expertise in your career. Somebody who've already experienced what it's like to be a great manager, a director, CEO. Whenever they go into a work environment, naturally they just take a leadership role. But are they satisfied with that leadership role? Do they really want that leadership role? That's the question. Also shows that the people that you work with in the environment, especially let's say your bosses, will be very thin in figure. Very slim, skinny bodies, may have like a pale light complexion. Your bosses may also have beard or mustache. And I forgot to say about the Ketu in the 9th house last time, where your father may have a mustache or a beard. Also shows that within the home, one loves to have gatherings within the home. One's mother is all about bringing people in the home, having parties and gatherings. But the thing is, your life, your present life, is to master how to run the home, how to build security within the home, how to find peace through fixed assets. But if you have this access, go to foreign lands. Go as far away as possible, at least 100 miles away from where you're born. If let's say your life is not... See, the thing is though, Rahu automatically will force you, especially around the age of either 4 or 12, 16 or 30. It'll like force you away from where you are within the home. These people also have great love for exotic cars, exotic vehicles. Why? Because 4th house is vehicles. Rahu represents this unusual energy. So when you have this within your horoscope, you like to have your home, first of all, very unconventional. You want a complete separate look for your house than anybody else in the community. And you love to have exotic cars. That's, some people like at work, when I used to work in my mortgage companies, they would have posters of Ferrari and they're so much into cars. And yet everybody loves cars. Of course I love a Ferrari. Of course I love a Bentley. But I'm not so much into it that I'm going to put posters on it in my room or in my computer screen. So you can't make that argument that everybody loves it. Of course everybody loves it, but there's just a little bit more access to or excess of this energy. Okay, so if you have this, pick a career which is unconventional. If you go through medical field, become an Ayurvedic doctor or holistic healer. If you're going towards arts, pick a very unusual form of art. And usually you will always be attracted to unusual forms of career. Now, obviously, if let's say Sun is there, let's say some other planet Saturn are there, then what happens is the influence of other planets will force you into a very systematic world. Meaning these people can go into fields of government. These people can go into fields of, IT engineering, electronics. But what happens with Ketu in the 10th house, they always have a different perspective of looking at things. They have a very unique perspective of seeing which executive orders that need to be executed. How this problem within the software will be solved. So they have a very unusual way of looking at things. Okay. And also Ketu in the 10th house shows that you have a very mystical, very introverted mother-in-law as well. Because 10th house is mother-in-law. And also shows that somehow you're always in a distant place from your mother-in-law. Maybe she lives far, far away. Okay, so this is how you can adjust these. So guys, this was my analysis of Rahu in the 4th house, Ketu in the 10th house. If you're new to my channel, subscribe below. Again, if you want to know where your Rahu-Ketu are, all my books, reports, consultation, my Rahu-Ketu consultations, for that, check out the links here. Otherwise, we'll see you next week with this same series. Bye-bye.